Hey everyone. Oh my goodness, it's awesome to be back and doing a live with you guys. It's been some time since I've gone live in this group. Truth be told, if you are new here, first of all, welcome. We've had a ton of new faces jumping into the group recently, which has been really exciting to have some new, fresh energy in the group. And if you're new here, then you may not know this about me, but I have been going through my own healing journey over the last 5 years. And if you have been hanging out with me, then you will have witnessed, I'm going to call it the inconsistencies as I've had to kind of float in and out of my own healing season and taking care of myself, recovering from Lyme disease, mold exposure, which kicked up a whole slew of gut infections from parasites to Candida, Epstein-Barr virus, E. coli, you name it, I had it. And as I've been healing and kind of regaining my vitality, I've had to kind of prioritize things in a different way. Now, 10 years ago, when I first started this group, my goodness, I used to go live every single Thursday, and it was so much fun hanging out with you guys, and I miss it. I truly do miss connecting with you guys in this way on these lives. So anyways, I can't make any promises in terms of being back here every single week, but I do have intention to show up here more frequently on lives. Now, we still are sharing content constantly into the group, and I'm in my DMs all the time, chatting with you guys one-on-one and getting you guys that customized support that you truly need. And then this will just be bonus stuff. But I got to tell you, the last couple weeks, I think it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I had a whole bunch of you guys that were in my DMs, and I was seeing some patterns of redundant colon coming up in chat with people. Now, over the last 10 years, it's been over 10 years that I've been in practice now, we've worked with over 1,000 different clients, and we've seen a ton of cases of redundant colon. But for context, if you're curious about what it is, or if you do in fact have it, it's important that you hear that it's not that common. Like, of all of the clients that we've worked with, the majority don't have a redundant colon. So this is kind of why I haven't thought to speak on it, you know, forward facing to you guys. It's something we support our individual clients with as they come in with it. But I wanted to come in and specifically talk about it today because I was just seeing such an uptick in conversations that were sharing that they had in fact been diagnosed with a redundant colon. So let's hit this topic right on the head. And the first thing we have to address is, what the hell is a redundant colon? So a redundant colon is essentially when, did you guys just see this? This right here? If you guys have any suggestions for keeping cats off the counter, let me know. I'm all ears. This little bad girl, I can't keep her off to save my life. Anyways, we're gonna let her roam around here while you and I hang out together. But essentially what a redundant colon is this is a structural issue that is diagnosed via colonoscopy. So if you haven't had a colonoscopy, then you may not know whether you have a redundant colon or not. Again, the chances of you having it, not super likely, okay? And get out of the sink, for God's sakes, come on. Let's keep going. So the chances of you having it, it's not very great, but it is something we need to talk about in case you do have it. Come here, please, off the table. Come say hello to the people. Say hello, look how cute I am. It's so difficult being mad at her, right? And our other one, Miss Poppy, she's in heat today, so it's crazy around here. Okay, so back to the redundant colons. So if you haven't had a colonoscopy, you may not know whether you have it, but this isn't something I want you to panic about. I want you to be informed about it, which is why we're doing this. So when you go in for a colonoscopy, a redundant colon is something that they can identify, and it essentially means that there is an extra long, large intestine occurring in your stomach. And so our large intestine, if it is too long, again, you'll be diagnosed with redundant colon, but what that also means is that it can sometimes cause complications because you can end up with loops in your colon and twists, and this can be something that puts you at risk of having constipation. So when we have a client who's constipated, sometimes what we'll hear is that they've also been diagnosed with a redundant colon. What this tells me as a practitioner is that that is one of the underlying root causes, okay? So it's important to, when we're looking at things like constipation, gas, bloating, abdominal pain, that we rule out structural things, because structural things can be an underlying root cause. But it's never just one root cause behind your symptoms. It's multifactorial. There's multiple pieces to the puzzle. And a redundant colon can be one piece of that puzzle, okay? So if there's something structurally going on, we know that that's not something that we can really change. But it can be something that can continue to influence your gut health for the rest of your life. And it's one of the few examples where we would manage a client's expectation around what it looks like to maintain their gut health on an ongoing basis after our program, right? For many people, we can fully resolve the symptoms and help them feel normal day to day, and they don't need to continue taking supplements every single day. We put them into a maintenance plan where 2 to 4 times a year, they're doing a 7-day protocol to help maintain, kind of like an oil change for your car, okay? Whereas with a redundant colon, we have to adjust expectations. Because there is extra long intestines, that means that there's more length of intestine for that stool to have to travel through. It means that when your intestines are contracting, they have to work a lot harder to get that stool out. And this is one of the reasons why we can end up with complications. So when we get into helping a client resolve their gut issues, one, it's absolutely possible for you to feel normal again. And you are likely going to have to manage your bowel health and particularly constipation the rest of your life. Now, what does that look like is you might have to take one bowel aid, be extra diligent on fiber, water, movement, etc. Okay, you don't have the luxury of being lackadaisical about it, okay? But it's absolutely possible for you to feel normal and to be pooping and, get rid of the gas and bloating and all those things. Okay, so realistic expectations and understanding how that impacts you. But the other big thing we have to understand is that when we have constipation, gas, bloating, abdominal pains, and let's say you do in fact have a redundant colon, we don't just stop there and go, oh, it's the redundant colon. That's why I have all these gut issues and there's nothing I can do about it. No. What we instead do is we look at what that puts you at risk for that is going to flare your symptoms, okay? Because here's what you need to hear. There are a lot of people that can live with a redundant colon and have no symptoms. So if you are someone that has a redundant colon, it means one of two things. One, there could be loops and kinks in your intestines that are making it difficult, and you're going to have to be extra diligent on keeping your bowels moving. But more often than not is that things have started to escalate and infection has started to set in. You see, the thing about a redundant colon is if your bowels are struggling to fully and properly evacuate, then essentially what's happening is you are at risk for a backlog of toxins to build up in the intestines. And when they don't get eliminated properly, they get reabsorbed back into the blood system. And this becomes the food source to infections, okay? So in fact, someone help me with this. So when you are at risk for infections, okay, they start to set in, and that is what becomes the thing that is really driving the gas, bloating, constipation, because those infections and those toxins are what start to cause damage and deficiencies. Deficiencies like low stomach acid, which means you're not going to break down your foods properly. You're more susceptible to gas and bloating occurring. Oh, you little monster. Come here. Sorry, guys. So you're more susceptible to, it is just a full crazy house in here. I don't know why I ever thought that I could go live with these two monsters out roaming free. You too, come on, go play. So when you have, again, a food source like toxins, attracting infections, suppressing stomach acid, which means you're not breaking your foods down properly. Those foods rot and ferment in the gut. They create a gas buildup, so now you're bloated, now you're gassy, okay? low stomach acid, as well as deficiencies that, like magnesium, for example, magnesium absorption gets blocked by heavy metals and toxins like mercury. We need nutrients to be absorbed via stomach acid. So all of this starts to snowball on you. And now you don't have the proper nutrients for motility to occur, for peristalsis to occur, which is the contraction of your bowels. So now, not only do you have an extra long intestines that really requires your bowels to contract properly for it to eliminate, now you've got this weak peristalsis, this weak contraction, which is further compounding the impacts of constipation. Okay, so this is how we start to really get into trouble with the redundant colon. It's less so about the redundant colon. It's a lack of maintenance on that redundant colon puts you at risk for infections, damage, and deficiencies snowballing on you. And that's ultimately what starts to create that abdominal pain, gas, bloating, etc. Okay. So what do we do with this and where do we start? The first thing, and we always reverse engineer this, and this is why, I'm talking so often in our group and throughout our content, that the most important starting place is getting yourself pooping, right? Regulating your bowel movements, whether you're on the constipation or diarrhea end of the spectrum. Constipation is the most common with redundant colon, okay? But it's so important that we start there because for a lot of people, that's the main symptom that is really impacting their day-to-day life and is causing the most immediate discomfort. And so if we can mitigate some of that so that day-to-day you're functioning a bit better, meaning we're going to manage that symptom, okay, then we have the capacity and the energy and a little bit more oomph in us to be able to focus on addressing the underlying root causes, which are going to be, again, the larger infections and toxins that have started to build up as a result of that extra long colon, okay? Large intestine. It's not exclusive to the colon. So, first step is regulating and stabilizing your bowels. And this is why we have our free Perfect Poop Guide. If you haven't already downloaded it, drop Perfect Poop below and I'll get that sent out to you. If you have already downloaded it, here's where I find a lot of people get stuck, is they get in there and they're like, oh gosh, another thing to try. I've tried so many things. It's not worked before. I'm scared to try something new. And that fear freezes them. But if nothing changes, guys, okay? And if what you were doing was working, then you wouldn't be here. So I want you to know that that protocol in there, so we can, again, have realistic expectations, is not gonna completely fix your gut. But it is one of the most effective protocols that you can implement to help manage your constipation while you get figuring out the larger picture underneath and what's going on inside your gut, okay? These are proven protocols that we use inside our Love and Trust Your Guts program for our clients, that we have some of the most stubborn cases of constipation come to see us. Most of our clients are pooping maybe once, maybe every 2 weeks, once a week to every 2 weeks. Sometimes we have clients that come to see us, they're pooping daily, but not quite enough. So I don't want you to feel like your stuff isn't bad enough. Okay. We can help you no matter what stage you're at. But we work with some of the most complicated, stubborn bowels, and this combination of protocol and the work that we do to address the root causes gets their bowels moving daily. And so if you're unsure, shoot me a message and I can help you figure out the dosing for your individual body and we can kind of go from there. But step one is stabilize your bowels, okay? Next step is going to be figure out what has set in as a result of that redundant colon. Okay, what infections? You're going to be at risk particularly for things like SIBO, parasites, and other opportunistic bacteria that like to hang out in the intestines. Things like probiotics are really not going to be helpful for someone like you. You're going to already have an overgrowth happening because your bowels aren't clearing out properly. And so adding more bacteria into the picture is only going to make things worse, okay? So what infections are there? We have to figure that out. And then we have to look at what food source, what toxins are there, okay? And then we can get to replenishing deficiencies, and then you get to go into maintenance, all right? So that's high level kind of overview of the steps that we need to take when we're working with a redundant colon. Let me know if you've got any questions below, but I wanted to touch on this for you guys in case you're someone who's quietly suffering with it. And you know, the constipation's obviously the main symptom, but you know that the doctor said you have a redundant colon and you just don't really know what to do with it. So hopefully that helps, guys. Let me know below if there's anything else I can do to support you with a redundant colon, and we will see you again soon. Bye, guys.